We are back in session, and we will take Cint next. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Proceed when you want to.
Okay. Well, everybody has our budget in front of them.
Yes.
So
We have John Sweet on the phone and Neil Westfall on the phone.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Cal.
So I don't know if I would say there are any major changes in our budget, but there are quite a few reductions from last year. As you'll notice on page 1, if there are no questions on that, we'll go ahead and proceed to the breakdown, beginning with wages. Last year, our adopted budget was $50,760 for regular wages, and this year we're $51,900. And that is our position of office manager. Our overtime, again, our budget last year, it's pretty much status quo, the same for this year at $5,000. Supplies, we at on this year's budget at $10,000 versus last year's at $25,000. And our supplies are used for, as indicated there on the bottom, our postage, office supplies, evidence packaging, printed materials, and drug prevention materials. And then there are about $1,400 for any unanticipated supply purchases. Equipment repair and maintenance on the following page. Last year, our adopted budget was $35,780, and this year we're only proposing $6,923. And again, these are broken equipment, any of our vehicle maintenance and oil changes that we do on our vehicles. One of the things that's benefiting us on that is the Coca-Cola Tribal vehicles that we've been allowed to use some of their vehicles, and that were purchased through some grants relating to drug enforcement. So that was a very positive change for us. As our older vehicles have gotten to be extremely high mileage. Investigations, these are used to pay for expenses on ongoing investigations. Most of our investigations last for weeks and oftentimes months. And last year, our adopted budget at $20,500. This year, proposal is $9,000. Equipment, we do have from time to time old and outdated equipment. These are things that we generally use in a lot of our investigations where they're outside of town, in the hills, so to speak, in woods. Wooded equipments are some of our surveillance equipment and tactical gear. Last year, we were at $29,140 adopted budget. This year, we're at $10,000. The next page, insurance premiums. This for last year was $3,664. This year, no change at $3,664. Our utilities, Verizon Wireless, our cell phone bills, power, water, sewer, garbage, phone, internet, cable, and the other. These are the items basically that, other than our cell phones, pay for our office space. And training and travel. And last year we were adopted budget at $51,480, and this year we're at $15,000. And again, just as indicated there on the bottom, DPSST certification requires that we maintain a certain number of training hours, and we are requesting also, I think, $1,000 for unanticipated, which is included in that. The next page, software license maintenance. This is basically our records management system that we utilize at Cint. Our Celebrite license, this is the device that we use to recover digital evidence on crimes throughout the county, oftentimes not necessarily related directly to drugs, but oftentimes we find that those crimes are also even the homicides and other crimes like that. Serious person crimes are often have a drug nexus. But we use that device with a lot, especially as very recently with the Coos County Major Crime Team. Contracted services, again, some of this is some of our maintenance. I'll see geospatial, again, some of our records management, our part-time help that we utilize with some of our clerical businesses periodically through the year. And then we also have, I think on this one, there was an increase of $55 a month, and that was our alarm bill. But we're adopted last year at $44,286. This year we're at $31,492. And then our last page, capital outlay. Last year, adopted budget was $59,000, and this year our proposal is $20,095. And that will be used for new replacement of vehicles and equipment that may come up. Are there any questions?
Neil or John, you have questions?
No.
Greg?
Tight.
Sven?
No, looks good.
Melissa?
Nope.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing
Now,
none.
are there county contributions to this outside of what's presented here?
Other county contributions? We have.
Are there county contributions to this other than what is enumerated on the budget you just presented? Yeah,
Not at this time.
okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Thank you, Cal.
Thank you. Well,
Okay, now we got this really big budget here, the sheriff's office. We have the sheriff, Captain Dan, and Melissa.
That hurts. Well, wasn't as good as Melissa's Star Wars one the other day.
I assume that was on your end.
No, that was John Sweet.
oh,
Too much metal on the sheriff to set off the receiver.
All right, we'll get right into it rather than delay. I hope you guys had asked for a flow chart, basically, of the structure of within the office, and it should be on your first page there in the blue. And it's basically how our structure flows, so we can maintain control and command of what we have going on. And with that, I'll turn it over to Captain Looney and William Hager, Office Administrator.
Good morning. So we will start with, see if I find it, with the revenue page. So how detailed do you want me to go through this revenue page?
Well, where are you first? Are you on this one?
It is one of one.
Ah,
Should be
okay.
towards the front.
Got it. Because we had all this other beforehand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So sheriff's fees, we're looking at a reduction of 3,000, we believe, this year, down to 186,000. U.S. Forest Service Patrol Timber, that's the Siskiyou district, they're raising their funds $4,442. BLM Timber Patrol's raising theirs $6,088. Homeland Security, we're attempting to get a Homeland Security grant to finish out our portable and mobile radio purchases. We have not gotten that yet. Dewey grant, we're looking at a $2,000 increase to $4,000. We are not doing the speed enforcement grant, so that's a negative $4,000 this year. Services County Department is up $1,187, and that's wages for the TOPS timber deputy. And the reason that's up is we have a new timber program with Weyerhaeuser where they're paying for a position, so they withdrew from the TOPS. And then down to the Weyerhaeuser position. Weyerhaeuser, our contract started the 1st of March, and we are going to receive $198,768. $54,000 of those dollars is for the purchase of an outfitted pickup truck for that deputy. Now, what I forgot to do was in the vehicle automobile line item is to put that $54,000 in there. So I need to put the $54,000 to purchase that vehicle in that automobile line item. And then donations canine program, looking at a $12,000 increase to about $20,000 for total revenue of approximately $248,560. Now, if you can go to this one with the blue on it, it's 1 of 8. It says criminal in red at the top.
Bob, it was just the next page after the revenue.
No, no, it looks like this one.
Yeah,
4 or 5 pages.
I thought you were going to this one.
this one.
Nope.
It should say regular wages on the top left. The regular wages, we show an increase of $197,407. $80,000 of that, of just the wages increase, is the new Weyerhaeuser timber patrol position. Now, overtime, we're asking for $150,000, which is a $25,000 increase. We asked for that last year also, and I would refer you to the page in front of this one. It's a graph page. This will show you per month for the last 5 years what the overtime at the sheriff's, for patrol, criminal side of the sheriff's office is. And it averages almost $150,000. It's $149,478.07. So in the past, we've been able to, there will be positions that took a while to fill, and we've been able to borrow that money and put it into overtime and make up for things. I don't foresee that happening in the next year. So back to the criminal, the blue pages. Go to page 2 of 8 at the bottom, investigations. Investigations, I'm asking for an increase of $3,300. And that increase is so we can purchase criminal code books for the deputies. They're pretty expensive, and they come out new every 2 years. And the ones we've got now are 2018s. So that's the extra 3,300. Okay, page 3 of 8 at the top, less than 5,000 info technology. We're asking for an increase of $8,058. And this is to be used for the purchase of 10 computers and 5 Surface Pros. So basically the replacement of computers and Surface Pros that are at end of service, end of life, no longer supported and not CJIS compliant. At the end of this year, so next year's budget, we should be able to get away with getting only 5 computers because we're in a rotation now. We're not trying to play catch up. Less than 5,000 equipment. We're seeing a reduction of $7,300 from last year, and we're only asking for $7,000 for office chairs and digital cameras. Next page, page 4 of 8, vehicle expense. We're asking for $198,000. That's a $10,000 increase from last year. And it's basically because we have some aging vehicles, so there's a few more, there's getting to be a few more repair costs. This is also for where fuel and tires and lube and oil and all that stuff comes from. It's the monies to maintain the fleet. The next one down, Homeland Security grant, is $33,000. I talked about that before. That, we have not got that grant, or gotten that grant. If we don't, we won't do anything. If we do, then we'll purchase radios. Page 5 of 8, maintenance agreements, that's pretty standard. We've moved some of those. Okay, number 6 of 8. We're asking for a $22,973 increase, so I feel like I need to discuss that a little. The first one, the top, is Asset Panda, and we're asking for $4,411. That's a $3,311 increase. The reason we're asking for that is a 3-year payment, so 3 years of that service. And to do it that way saves us saves the county $1,556.68, rather than doing it year by year. Celebrate, that's the next one down. We're asking for $3,700. That's the county's half of the Celebrate system that Cal was talking about. And basically we use that for, like this last homicide, we had 4 phones that needed to be downloaded and the contents used in the investigation. And we go down to eForce, IntelliChoice, the RMS, the records management system, and the jail management system, civil system. So basically that's our report writing system. And it shows, the reason I mention this is it shows $47,857. This is, I believe, the last of our big year payments, and it should go down to $13,975 next year. Any of these others you want to talk about? The Police One Academy training and the Pro Training CPR first aid certifications. Those are online training courses. The guys are required to have so many hours per year and so many hours of training every 3 years, and that helps save the cost of sending people out. They can just get online and get the training. And it really helps for the first aid in CPR. Okay, next page, page 7 of 8. On this one, equipment, we're showing a reduction. We're not asking for anything, a reduction of $7,578. The automobiles, that's where I'd ask you to add that I forgot, the $54,000 for the purchase of the paid-for warehouse or patrol vehicle.
So it's offset by the 198,000
Yes.
included in that?
Yes.
So I had the revenue in there, but the expense wasn't.
Right.
Okay.
Well, for some reason, I thought we were gonna get to it this year, and I don't think it's gonna happen, so. Next, page 8 of 8, are the vehicle leases. We're asking for $200,000, $100,000 to continue the lease on the 4 vehicles from the 2019-2020 budget. And you guys need to understand, last week, we just received 2 of those vehicles. This has been in the works since last year. And the other 2 vehicles are still being outfitted. Also, it's come to our attention that this, unlike they were telling us, understanding was it was a closed-end lease, and apparently it's an open-end lease. So, whatever that means.
Well, I mean, you're telling us that.
Huh?
A closed-end lease basically was at the end, they would take the vehicle back, we got accounting for that. Our reading of the open-end lease is at the end, they either charge us for it or we buy those cars from them for their blue book value.
I don't remember him telling us that.
And the paper they sent us, sent Tyrone, said at the top, open-end lease.
Did you talk to council about that?
We just
Ty-
got it yesterday.
Yeah,
And he said,
we haven't had a chance to discuss it, it's
oh,
been
with
busy, but,
that yet.
and our concern is it looks like we get 4 vehicles, and at the end of that 3 years, instead of paying, for over 3 years, we would have basically 300, we'd end up paying $73,800 a vehicle for each of those vehicles under this lease.
And if we purchase those outright, it would be about $50,000 for an outfitted vehicle that would last at least 5 years.
So you think it's cost an extra $23,000 a vehicle,
At least.
times 4?
It may be more.
Then there's the residual at the end, if we're required to either pay for repairs or whatever, that cost goes up. So basically, at the end of 3 years, you'd have 4 cars, but you paid $300,000 for it, or $300,000, you have 4 cars, $300,000. That same $300,000 over that same 3 years, you'd have 6 cars that belong to you.
But if you guys still want to go with the leases, we are going to need more vehicles. So we're asking for another $100,000 for 4 more leased vehicles. There is one other thing we could do that's worked fairly well, is we've been purchasing, you guys gave us $50,000 in the automobile line item. And we've been using that to purchase used vehicles from Deschutes County. Used to them is almost new to us. I mean, they're good vehicles. So if we took, say, 50,000, got rid of 50 of the 100,000, with 50 additional thousand in automobiles, and we just purchase some more used rigs and be able to get along.
Skip the second year of the lease.
Well, and the lease is different. This would be on the second.
Well, this would be for the second 4. We wouldn't be asking for
Right.
$100,000 for the second
But the lease program, I don't know, it's gonna cost the county a lot of money.
Well, the idea was not to keep them for the whole,
Right.
Right.
the end.
And I can, to be fair, is I understand the thought, and for a lot of things, for example, like juvenile or other uses, that stuff makes sense. The way we use cars, in our estimation, it does not make financial sense to be leasing vehicles. Particularly when we were told, and I know we discussed this last year, that there was closed-end lease, and then the paperwork we get from them finally says open-end lease. They were gonna have the cars to us. We bought, entered that agreement last year. We finally got the first two. They're not on the road yet, because we don't even have the markings on them yet. And the other two are still out there someplace.
Well, and it was literally like, well, they'll be here in September. This is the lease company. They'll be here in November. They'll be here in January. Well, they got here, two of them last week,
It's in the mail.
so it's been frustrating.
I think we have to look at the additional lease of the vehicles.
Well, I have a call in, and I had intended to talk to Nathaniel up in his office when we have an opportunity about that, because we got the paperwork, Tyrone got the paperwork the other day, and we're going, wait a minute, we were told this was closed-end lease. This paperwork very specifically says open-end lease, and I have concerns about the residual effect, and at the end of that lease, what our costs are.
Yeah, I would too. Wow.
So how much is your annual lease payment per vehicle?
33,000 something,
I don't know if it-
$25,000 piece, there's 4 cars.
I don't know what it is. I didn't ask about that.
We haven't got the lease schedules yet because they just got the vehicle,
Okay.
so.
You have a copy of something that they showed you way back when they first.
We don't have that, county council had that,
Oh, okay.
that went through council and board, I believe. All we got was just, when we were delayed, we started asking, send us, we wanna see the documents, and we finally got them the other day.
Well, my understanding with that contract was it was different for us, for the sheriff's office side, than it was for the rest of the county cars, because they're different. We have to put holes in them for antennas. They've got a lot of equipment. They get a lot of miles put on them, but there's only one contract, and the contract's pretty one-sided.
Well, it looks like we need to review it.
Review that, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So do you want the 10%?
Yes, please.
Okay, 10% for us, I mean, we could nickel and dime the supplies and this and that, but basically we're talking about people. So for the criminal division, it would be 4 patrol deputies at approximately $393,183, and the $100,000 for the extra vehicles, not the lease vehicles, because we're in that right now with the extra vehicles. And that would get us down to, our 10% is $478,740. So do you want to know what that would do, what the landscape would look like? Okay, what we would have to do is reduce from our current 24-hour-a-day coverage, patrol coverage, to about 16 hours a day. We'd have to raise the overtime budget from $125,000 to at least $165,000. So that's adding $10,000 on what I've requested in the main budget. And I'm hoping that would be enough, but the reason is we'd have to put deputies on call at certain times well, somebody would have to be on call for the hours we're not patrolling. If we have a life or death situation, we have to send somebody out. So that would be a little bit overtime, plus the sending them out would be overtime. We would no longer be able to have the deputy assigned to do the child and senior abuse investigations. So each deputy would have to just take them as they caught them, and understand one of those investigations can last, a founded child or senior abuse investigation can last from 6 to 8 hours. Might not all be in one day, but it's 6 to 8 hours worth of investigative time. We'd have no codes person and codes investigator position, and we'd no longer be able to have our guy at scent, because we'd have to pull those 3 back into the patrol just to patrol.
I want to touch
Well,
on.
I'll be away from the phone for a few minutes here. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to touch on the child abuse investigator, though, is one of the things we've found is because it's such a significant impact on the victims and to prosecute those cases, along with the fact that how critical it is to do the interviews and meet with the services, the DA's office, that ties up a lot of time where you end up traveling to meet with different people. And we dedicated the deputy doing that because otherwise we were pulling so many people off the road, because in the midst of that, you can't go off and leave it. When we were having emergency calls, we were having problems. Who do we send? And losing that position has a huge impact. And the biggest impact is to seniors and children, and obviously their families. And that's a huge concern to me. I know also the board would be concerned with loss of the code's compliance, because we would not be able to help Jill with her stuff. It just wouldn't happen. My belief is there would be no code enforcement other than the letters Jill would send, unless she wanted to go cite somebody, and I don't think anybody'd be excited about that. A couple other things I want to touch on too. For example, normally when we have a situation, you may recall here, not too long ago, we had an incident south of Bannon where a subject had reportedly had a large bomb in the back of his truck. We handled that with our emergency SWAT team with the aid of other police agencies. That team will no longer exist. It will be gone. It won't be there to help any local agencies. It won't be there to help us. It'll be gone. What will happen is we'll just have to send enough officers to contain it until the 2 to 8 hours it takes for Oregon State Police, the SWAT team, to gather from across the state to respond. And then, as he mentioned, the overtime, and that overtime cost would also, obviously, with the additional hours worked by everybody, is gonna increase our illness, injury, and there will be times, most likely, that if emergency call comes, we'll have nobody to respond. We'll have to be on the phone trying to find somebody. That's, to me, is scary, because we, with the budget committee and everybody over the last number of years, I know most of you have been involved in that, we finally got, we're doing 24-hour coverage. We're not getting killed with property crimes because we have somebody at night out there that we're working on those. It's problematic. The other big thing that happens is we will also may be violating our agreement with Bandon Dunes Golf Course, and if they decide to pull their some $800,000 that they pay us.
Sheriff, I think that's kind of a legal opinion, and I'm not sure I would go on the record
Well,
with that.
I'm just saying if they may, I don't know, that, because we have that agreement.
Right, but with the way, yeah, I don't want to get into that. I mean,
Okay, well-
I hear your concern. The board is just as concerned as you are.
Well,
I mean, that's the
I
thing.
know that, I'm
Yeah.
just, for the record, for people to know, this is where we're at. And the other big thing I know that'll make a lot of people really unhappy is, we will not have a K-9 program. We will have to eliminate the K-9 program, because the cost of overtime and training and keeping those animals up to date will be gone. What's that?
Isn't that covered mostly by donations, their training and?
Yes, but I won't have enough people to allow them to go off to the training, or to be off training, because we're short, we're doing it, but we're still, you know, just above minimum staffing levels to get it done.
And they do get called out a lot, so there's that overtime from the budget.
Okay.
Also, just so you know, Melissa ran up the numbers, and for 4 unemployment benefits, for 4 deputies being off is $67,392. Just to give you an idea what it cost that way.
Per year?
That's
Yeah.
if they don't get it extended, it's for the 26 weeks.
Okay.
At $648 a week for 26 weeks. 16,848 is one year.
Questions?
None from me.
John or Neil?
No.
Greg?
No.
Nope. Melissa?
No?
Okay.
No, thanks, you guys.
Okay, with that happy news. I do believe we're complete, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, move tentative approval of the budget for criminal.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
We need to have some discussion about the enterprise lease thing, but I don't know that that has to be decided now, it just has to be decided. I mean, there'll be a budget, we may end up moving that around. We had, sorry, I suppose I was just sitting over here thinking about this. We had concerns last year when we were talking about including public safety vehicles in there. We had a meeting scheduled with Enterprise, but it has been rescheduled
Right.
because of this pandemic issue. So, you know, we're going to have to address it, but I don't know that we'll get it addressed before we adopt this budget.
So I didn't follow all the numbers. We're talking a bit of difference. We go ahead with the leasing an additional 4 cars
Mm-hmm.
versus not.
Right.
For this year, what would be do you know what the savings would be, if any? You're talking about, what, a 3-year lease?
Yeah, at the end of the 3-year lease,
Yeah, and we don't know what
We-
the cost would, because
What?
it's an open-end lease, but do we know what the possible, if we didn't do this, what the possible savings are?
we can purchase and outfit a vehicle for, depending on the vehicle, for right around 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
It would last
And
5
it's
years,
ours.
for 5 years.
And it's good for an average of 5 years. Some of them were taking further than that. But,
Oh, 4 of them
right,
is 200.
but if we do the lease at the end of the 3 years, you're paying $73,800 plus whatever this open-end thing does for that vehicle, same vehicle. And my
So we're paying
understanding,
about 100 okay.
So, you know, one way we could handle this would be to let the leases run the course on the vehicles that we currently have leased and keep an eye on the situation and see what the outcome is. So we could move, and it's no guarantee it's gonna stay there, obviously, but we could move part of the money into capital outlay for, 2 new vehicles. Of course, you have no guarantee that you're gonna be able to find used vehicles, but, we could do that. And then leave, about 70,000 in there for lease payments?
I'll know more in the next couple days.
Okay.
If they haven't even received 2 of the cars, maybe that's already in the works, but
Oh, they are up at the, they're being outfitted right now
Yeah,
at
but
the
that's
Salem.
not part of the discussion, that's the first four. For me, I'm talking about the next four. The
Yeah,
second
you should put a hold on those,
Yeah,
pause on those.
Well, we haven't ordered those at all. You
I
guys
know.
haven't
Right.
given us
but
permission.
that's what
Right,
you were
but since we're
talking
looking at
about,
next
those
year's
next four
budget,
vehicles.
we need to
Correct.
know
Yeah,
what direction we're sending you in.
so that's about $140,000 over the lease contract, not including the extra 2 years you get out of the vehicles.
We are doing pretty good with
If
the
I'm
50,000
going
getting
along with
used
it.
vehicles.
Does that sound right, what I'm thinking?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
Well, even at the end, if I'm correct, at the end of the 3 years, if you had to go back and lease another vehicle for the 2 more years to fill you out to the 5, you're still at $125,000 for 5 years of a leased vehicle versus
Yeah,
50, and the maintenance and the fuel and the tires is all the same. Is that correct?
yeah. Insurance, well, we self-insurance, yeah.
No, we have to provide full coverage on these, don't we?
Yeah.
We
Yes.
do? Okay, well, on the lease ones, yes.
On the lease.
Oh, so there'd be a
If
savings
we
on
own
the
it, we don't.
insurance.
I mean, we get money back when we turn the vehicle back and they sell it, but we've
Well,
never
maybe
known how
not.
much, pardon me?
That was, my understanding is that was on the closed lease. This
Yeah.
open
Maybe
lease
not.
seems different. So I don't get that.
No, I mean, that was the whole selling point,
I
was
know,
we get money back.
but apparently they've
They
changed
look
it.
at when the best time to resell the vehicle is, and we can pull it out of the lease and sell it, and then whatever we make off that gets rolled into the next lease.
Is there a chance that someone sent the wrong contract, closed versus open, and
It's possible. They haven't sent the final one yet. They sent one, I think it was an invoice, or sort of an invoice.
I think Captain Fabrizio has something to add.
I don't know if this will help clear it up, but it may, the lease that came did say open end on top. Circle that, I did send stuff in that yesterday, but of course it's busy. The legal terminology they have on the original sales paperwork that we saw says lessee responsible for book value at term, which is where we can bring the on the hook for the payment to them, and lessee keeps vehicle equity at term. So I don't really know what that means, but it does sound like we'll be responsible for that blue book at the end of the 3 years, which is what we're trying to figure out. But
Okay. We'll know more when you get together with council, though.
Yes,
All right. Very good.
At the end of the lease term, there is an amount due. It's not, you get it for $1, like, which is common with other leases.
Right.
There is a reduced book value at lease termination.
So does the vehicle stay with us then? Or do we sell them?
That's what gets decided. Theoretically, when they were presenting to us, they would take it back before the lease was even up
Right.
to get optimum resale value and give us a new one.
So thus the 3 years.
Yeah, so you would never go the full term of the lease, is the,
And my understanding, that's the close-end lease system.
All right, but seriously, I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole with the whole lease
Yeah.
discussion. I just want to say, we had concerns about the lease when it came to public safety vehicles because they hadn't done a lot of them. You know, here's my opinion. Let's just take these ones that we have right now and we'll run this out for another year, maybe 2 years, see how this works out. And we should not plan on any more leased vehicles in this next upcoming budget year. And that's where I'm at.
So we'll take the first four,
Yeah, I mean, we've already ordered those, those
Right.
are in
And 2 of
outfitting.
them are here.
right.
Yeah, 2 of them are here,
So
2 of them are in
then-
outfitting.
We won't exercise the next four.
I don't think, no, not for public safety vehicles.
Okay, all right.
Because it's a different ball of wax with
Sure.
like public health and
Mhm.
mental health and all of
Mhm.
those guys. It's an entirely different
Yep.
thing. With you guys, they're having to drill holes, they're having to outfit them.
Okay.
And, you know, and the time period, I would say, has been excessive. That's a long time to wait for vehicles.
Mhm.
So, you know, maybe they're just getting into this market, whatever. I can't in good conscience say, let's order 4 more next year
No, I wouldn't either.
with the number of questions we have.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
But
so,
that'll
Wanna
affect our
do-
budget.
like 100,000 up at the regular automobile.
Okay, where are we?
Is that gonna take us up with the 54 too?
So the automobile line item and capital outlay will be 154. Tentatively.
Tentatively.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the overall total, so I don't know if we need to change the motion,
No.
because we're in discussion. So, okay.
Okay, so we're still out here with a vote yet. All in favor, including the changes?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. What do we have next? Dunes?
You can go ahead if you don't mind with
What?
correction.
That's next in your packet.
I want to apologize for getting up. My husband was having surgery
Oh, no,
while
you're,
we were doing this, so
Yeah.
the doctors were calling, and I just want to apologize.
of course, no,
I
you
don't
don't have,
normally-
you don't need to apologize.
Don't normally do that. But,
Okay, corrections.
If she runs out for surgery, she needs to apologize, but otherwise.
Bob never apologizes when he leaves.
I take so much abuse, you know? Always. If it isn't Melissa, it's John. Isn't that right, John?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
If you're not, if Melissa isn't abusing me during the meetings, you are.
We have to have some pleasures in life.
I know, you have to have somebody to pick on, yeah. I'm down to a nub here, though.
Everyone has a role now.
Yeah.
We can play.
Okay, budget proposal for corrections. The jail, in other words.
Hello.
Captain Meade.
Going over revenue first.
Whatever makes you happy. Yes,
Yeah.
go over revenue.
Let's see, so, there's an increase of 138,750 from the Department of, or from Community Corrections. That's their state dollars that we get. There shows an 1,800 decrease in the Social Security Administration reports that we submit, but I am submitting those now, and we should get that money back. I don't think there's any other major changes there. Total revenue, 142,416.
You're making a little more in the commissary.
Right, well, the commissary is up. The last time I ran the numbers, we had spent 17,173, and we had brought in 33,630 on commissary. And it's higher than that now, but we haven't ran it again the last couple weeks. Okay, 1001, regular wages, up 200,262. It's based on just contractual increases for the staff. Overtime, status quo. Holiday pay, no changes. Supplies, 2001, no changes. 2012, the kitchen, no changes. Minor repair and maintenance, we're asking for a $1,274 increase to 40,000 total. We've currently expensed over 84% of that line item. So I think the increase is needed. Prisoner commissary, I'm asking for a $5,000 increase to take it to 30,000 with the knowledge that we should clear 50,000, I think, in sales. Permits and rents is up $439, just because our elevator permit will be due this year. 22-23, increase of $4,995. This will be for the purchase of 10 computers that are at end of life and no longer CGIS compliant. Less than $5,000 equipment, decrease of $23,940. Total request 2,400 for 8 chairs for the jail. Insurance premiums, reduction of $32.82. Utilities, $29.02. City of Cook Hill, increase of 8772. Our average cost per month for water and sewer is 5,474. So there's currently not enough in there to cover it. There's also an increase for 8,000 for Tyree oil for diesel fuel. Our diesel holding tank is currently at 11,000 gallons. $8,000 will allow us to add 4,000 gallons this year, and we'll add 4,000 next year, and the tank will be full, and the oil should be good for, or the diesel fuel should be good for several years, as we burn natural gas normally. 2903 telephone, $500 increase for cell phones and MiFi devices. No change to training and travel. Vehicle expense, request a $2,000 increase. We've currently expensed $11,215 out of that line item. It looks like we might go over with some more repairs that are needed on our transport vans. We're seeing more mileage, more wear and tear because we're making a Salem run every week now, which is a change from the previous years. Maintenance agreement. Shows a reduction of charter communications, $1,405, but that was just moved to the line item 2902, so it's no change. Total decrease, though, 2,168. 3506, increase of 3378 for the Asset Panda inventory system. That covers a 3-year license for that program and gets us a discount. The FTEP program reduction, 4353. We'll have already purchased the program, and the maintenance cost is much cheaper after that. LTT Partners, 2,086 increase. That's the maintenance for our new cameras that we have in the jail. It's a software licensing maintenance fee. Police One Academy, increase 2,168. That's pretty much how we're doing most of our training in the jail right now, is through the online system that they provide. It's a really good deal for the money. Total increase 2,489. 3601. I think the only things here is, other than the 40,625 for the cost allocation, is the 126,874 for well path. That's because we put in 100,000 to cover the aggregate cap on the medical fees. This year we're around 250,000 in cap costs. I've been doing agendas every month to bring those to the board for payment, so this would allow us to pay them out of our budget. Total increase 168,890. 6001, decrease of 20,455, nothing budgeted.
So back here on WellPad,
Yes,
it's costing us $800,000 to do jail medical, basically,
yes.
plus whatever else we incur at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly expensive.
So I assume are they the only game in town, or?
That's correct.
When we went out.
We went out,
Yeah, that
nobody,
was it.
yeah, nobody else. Actually, when we went out, it ended up costing us more. They raised their contract price.
Yeah,
It's the truth.
it's the risk.
Nobody else bid.
It's the risk.
No one else bid, and they knew it.
Mhm.
And I remember way back when we didn't have this jail medical, we were trying to get doctors and nurses and things, and that was almost impossible.
Yeah, to run that way now would be a huge mistake, because all the lawsuits coming through for corrections are, I'd say 90% of them are medical. You get an occasional use of force or something like that, but most of the lawsuits that we see are tied to medical care. So they're a good protection for us.
We were doing some discussion about changing the statute so if they had insurance when they came in, they lose it
Right,
when they come into the jail.
right.
Change the the law to where they keep their insurance. That would help some, I would think.
That would help a lot, because right now they have to stay the night at the hospital to get that Medicare, Medicaid kick in. Otherwise, we pay. And most of the trips to the hospital are for 2 to 4 hours, and we bring them back and we eat the bill.
We can't just not pick them up for a day.
Unfortunately, no.
We forgot they were over there or something.
Yeah.
Braceleted to the bed or something, you know.
Well, and it costs us overtime, because we usually have to call somebody in. We have to go hang out at the hospital with them so that everybody's secure, and it's just a real money drain.
So looking for a retirement plan,
Yes,
medical coverage.
yeah. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
6011 shows a decrease of $19,954. What we're asking for in this line item is some money to put in some wire meshing on our upper tier to the ceiling, so we don't have somebody jump off and break their neck again. We're thinking that's gonna be around $35,000, but our insurance carrier has indicated that they would cover some of that, possibly up to half, but I won't know until we submit it, and they wanted me to go ahead and try to get a budget, and then they would let me know what they would cover. So, but they will cover some. They helped us get our time guard system. They paid $8,000, I think, for that, so they do come through. And it's a liability for them as well to make sure that's covered up.
That's where their funds come from, their liability reduction funding.
Right.
For insurance
So we're trying to prevent the swan dives off the second floor onto the concrete floor down below.
Yeah, we had a major one last year.
Yeah, I know.
And
It was oddly enough,
It
that
wasn't the
person
first.
survived.
He did. Yeah, if you watch it, you wouldn't think a person would survive.
Would you have video if you want to see it?
No, thanks. Okay, any questions for Captain Meade?
Oh, I'm sorry, on the 6011 also included $10,000 to put soft starters on the elevators in the jail, which we're told is absolutely needed.
What does that mean?
It controls the flow of the hydraulic fluid, and the ones that we have are worn out, so they said elevators will start getting stuck if we don't fix it. And we do load them up pretty good. Take a lot of inmates to
So
court.
then I assume we get stuck in between, somebody has a complaint about that too.
Probably.
Yeah, especially if they're going to medical.
Okay. All right, any questions for Captain Meade on the jail, which is called corrections? Neil, John,
No. No.
Melissa,
No.
Fred?
Are you gonna ask for a review through the 10% reduction? What the highlights of it might be?
You can.
Or you
Well,
wanna
let's
focus
just-
on this?
We can do this and then go through the 10% too, it doesn't matter. We're not gonna vote on the 10% one. We haven't in the past, so far this last 3 days. Any other questions, Greg, for the primary budget? Entertain a motion?
Move to, second.
Okay, any questions about the primary budget? Which is tentative, you know, right? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 10% reduction.
Okay, 10% reduction. Start with the 1001. We would reduce by 6 correction deputy positions for a decrease of $125,205. We show an increase of $25,000 in the overtime line item. Because less staff, we would be covering shifts more, and we anticipate it to go up at least that much. Holiday pay, show no change. Supplies show a decrease of 25,000 down to 100,000. groceries and kitchen show a decrease of 15,000 for a total of 90,000. The repair and maintenance, we did not change because I don't really believe that will change based on the lowered population or less staff. The jail will still be expensive to run. Prisoner commissary, I wouldn't ask for the extra 5,000 because there'd just be less inmates to buy commissary items, so it wouldn't make any sense. Permits and rents wouldn't change, still be the elevator permit that we have to have. Info technology would still be an increase of $49.95 for the computers. Less than 5,000 equipment would still show the decrease, $23,940. Utilities, we would show a decrease for the city of Coquille of $1228 and a decrease of $5,000 for Pacific Power due to just having some more stuff shut down. $3005 training and travel, we would propose a decrease of $7,500 for a total of $17,500. There's no changes on the rest of that page that aren't already there from the previous. And,
I have a question.
yes,
On your description, it says you're gonna eliminate 6 positions,
right.
but that's only $125,000 savings in wages?
How does that work?
It's more than that, because, that's just probably in the 1001, but when you add up all the benefits, it's more. I don't know if I broke that up.
It's 306,160.
That's the total personal services if you cut 6 positions. But we'd also have to pay $101.88 in unemployment.
I just thought the 125 was a little low.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was just reading off the regular wages.
Could you talk about that a little bit more? I'm sorry, man, I may not pick up everything here, but that really does seem low. That's like 25,000 per person reduction. I mean,
It's not,
reduction.
it was 306,
Right.
John.
No, but just in direct wages.
Well, you can't, when you're comparing, the contractual with the other one, it's just that 125 is comparing from what we had last year as a raise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, it's not, you're not comparing the same thing. It's not,
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
got it.
okay. I guess apples and apples and oranges.
Well,
Okay, I'll go to the 3601, contracted services. We would show a $30,000 reduction in Barrett Business Services. 6001 equipment would still be the 20,455 reduction. And the major repair and improvement would not change, for a total reduction of $289,695.
Which would save, adding back in the unemployment, all everything else, all the expenses, would be a net saving of 664. That's what you got here.
63561.
Well, that's what I came out with. 663,561. You had 664, but oh well, it's about the same thing. That would be the net savings
Yes.
with unemployment and everything.
No,
No?
no, the unemployment is not included in there.
Oh, so it,
Unemployment's not in our budget, it's in the 9,900. You guys would have to put it in the 9,900.
yeah, but it is an expense to the jail, huh?
No.
I want it to be.
It all has a trickle-down effect on the general fund.
I understand that part, yeah. It wouldn't be that total savings,
No,
no. Which was what, 60-some thousand you said was
and we didn't even
unemployment?
talk about the,
101
101,
for 6 employees.
and we didn't even talk about the buyouts. I mean, if you have an employer that's been there for more than 20 years, you're looking at a buyout of anywhere from 20 to 25,000 in accruals. And if they're less than that, it's anywhere from 5 to 10,000. So, because of the contract, how it's written, we have to buy their vacation at their max, we have to buy their comp at the max, and pay that out. They get a quarter of their sick, it goes to VIVA. And they have a lot of accruals on their books, it could be very costly.
so we're down to 560 something, less the buyouts, if, whatever they happen to be.
Yeah.
Could be as much as the 60, I guess. So
It's
to reduce the jail in half out of the 6.6 million total cost of the jail,
It's not cost effective.
so you're only reducing it $500,000. Still, for 49 beds, you're still costing 6.1, roughly.
Fixed
That's
costs are high.
close enough in non-accountant terms?
I guess.
Megan has to have the next cent, or tenth of a cent rounded.
Food budget be reduced too.
Hmm?
Food budget,
Yeah, sure,
you don't have so many people.
right. So, okay, as long as I'm on the right track here. All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Marine?
Marine, okay. Sergeant Coleman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yep,
Is everybody up on the Marine?
Just muttered to myself,
Oh.
I went back too far.
Okay.
But I'll be good. Go ahead.
We're ready when you are.
All righty. Marine budget proposal for this coming budget year. Revenue that we will be receiving from the Marine Board is gonna equate to, well, we actually get $206,599. That's for wages. There's $90,000 proposed for a new boat. And then the sale of one of our current boats will be required to go back into that Marine program, and that'd be roughly $8,000. So a total revenue we're looking at there for this year is $304,599. We'll go ahead and flip on over to the budget proposal.
So then the general fund will be contributing 177,
270.
Correct, 177,270.
which is down about 14,000.
Down.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. To touch on some highlights, I'll just kind of go through this maybe a little more generalized. The proposed budget is overall for the personnel services is down $712. There was the major reduction in that was actually coming from the workers' comp, which was reduced. If you look at the overall budget, is an increase of $97,128. And essentially where that's coming from is the boat that we're getting from the Marine Board. So our total proposed budget is that's correct, $481,769.
But, see if I have this right, but the boat's gonna be paid for with the Marine Board?
Correct. The Marine Board basically has $90,000
Okay.
dedicated
All right.
towards the boat, and.
So you're talking about a 7,000 increase then, realistically? No?
No, so the Marine Board's gonna kick in 90,000, and then the sale of their other boat, we're expecting to get at least 8,000.
Correct,
So
yeah.
it's only 2,000.
Ah, okay, I was even higher than, yeah, okay. All right.
So as I understand it, we didn't want to go down through these line by line, correct?
Not for the minor ones, just the major highlights, up or down, I guess.
Okay. And the major highlights, I think we've kind of already covered there, unless there was something that you had to question on. Which this year, the major highlight is obviously a boat.
Okay, so anybody have any questions about this?
No.
Nope.
I have a motion to approve the Marine budget. Do I have a second?
Tentatively approve the Marine budget.
Tentative, yes, of course.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion about tentative approval of the Marine budget? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to tell us about where you might be able to make some cuts, although it doesn't seem like it?
Yeah, we're really tight in the marine budget. I know a couple of years ago, we did some cuts and ended up having to come back and ask for more money. Basically, we just weren't able to get through it. We were doing shortcut measures that actually harmed the boats by running ethanol fuel, that kind of a thing, and so we really don't want to continue down that path if we can, because it costs us a lot more in maintenance.
It says here you lose the Marine program?
If we go to if we consider the 10% cut that was on the part of that proposal, we would lose the Marine program. A 10% reduction means about $48,000 reduction, which would initially equate to the elimination of a half-time supervisor position. The total reduction of the Sheriff's Marine program budget would be $76,238. This would result in the loss of the entire Marine program and possibly the collapse of the Dunes program as well. Basically, the loss of the funds are match funds for the Marine revenues that we get from the Oregon State Marine Board. So loss of the entire Marine program revenue funds could amount to $296,599, which would create a loss of 2 additional deputies, loss of resources back to the Marine Board, boats and equipment, inability to deal with stranded citizens, motorists, livestock, respond to calls on 10 Mile Lake, especially where there's boat access only, as well as several other programs that benefit the citizens. So essentially, you would end up with a loss of that, could potentially mean the loss of 5 positions total when you start taking into account the Dunes program as well.
So I'm assuming you have 5 people for unemployment too,
I think it would just be the admin.
unless you had retirements.
Well,
We lose the 4 deputy positions, so it'd be at least 4 more unemployment.
probably.
Right, it'd be 4 more.
That's assuming we're allowed to keep supervisory positions.
Right.
Well, it has a big buyout, we don't wanna do that. He's worked for the county forever.
I'm assuming Will don't want to either, but
You're right. Right.
I'm sort of hearing you.
no, it would amount, we'd have at least 4 more on unemployment because we'd have to, with the loss of the program, we'd be overstaffed for what we're budgeted in the criminal division, so we'd have to lay off those 4 deputies or 4 positions, which would normally be used in the dunes and marine.
I'm assuming those layoffs would be the new ones that we just got trained,
Yes,
Correct.
because they wouldn't have the seniority.
correct.
Okay. I guess we go to dunes.
On the dunes, everybody's caught up?
Yep.
All right. On the dunes revenue side, we have $248,252 of income that comes in from U.S. Forest Service patrol grant for the Siuslaw Forest, as well as $200,012 that comes in from the ODOT or ATV grant from the Oregon State, Oregon State Parks and Recreation. We've also have a grant that has been tentatively approved. I'm just waiting for the final word on that for $28,000. And that's for a new Polaris side-by-side. This particular side-by-side is a 6-seater version with a fully enclosed cab. It'll be used for search and rescue, as well as during inclement times in our patrol area. We'll be able to, this machine actually has heater and air conditioner and fully enclosed cab and everything in it. So when we do searches, a lot of times we have to shuttle people around, crews around, as well as when we retrieve victims, we need machines that are bigger but not full-size pickup trucks or something like that. But these are going to get into a lot more places. And
So
it makes
I read
shuttling.
this-
Go ahead.
If I read this right, this is a grant from Polaris?
No, it's not a grant from Polaris.
Okay, because
This
it
is-
says
this is-
notes here, Polaris grant.
Yeah, that's just the name of it.
Okay.
Just for the Polaris grant.
It came from Parks and Rec, Oregon Parks and Rec.
Correct.
Okay.
So, going over to personnel services, to the budget proposal there. Looks like, we're actually got a slight increase of $5,000, almost $5,000, on that part of it. Under the, the expenses line item, which includes that Polaris grant, we have an increase of $31,401.
Was I supposed to change that, Megan, the 28 to 21? I think I was, and I think I missed you that for, because we talked about the Title III, picking up the match on 7,000. I think I forgot to do that.
Yeah, because that total project, I think, was around 35,000.
What, oh, is that what it was, 35? Okay.
35 for the total project.
So I did change it. Oh,
Yeah.
I kept thinking I forgot. Okay, thanks. Good job, Bob.
Okay.
Well, I just thought I missed something.
So total proposed budget for this year for the Dunes program is $409,419, which is $31,000 increase, which is essentially that Polaris side-by-side.
Mhm. Okay, so I need a motion for the dunes budget.
Move tentative approval?
Have a second?
A second.
Okay, discussion about it. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, what happens if you have a reduction?
The reduction, we already talked about a little bit with the marine program. A 10% reduction in the dunes program is roughly $41,717. This would initially equate to the elimination of a half-time supervisor position, which was also eliminated in the marine program. Total reduction to the sheriff's office dunes program is $76,238. This reduction would result in the loss of the entire dune program. Once again, that's because it's all part of the match funds, so we would lose all that revenue that's coming in from the grants that we have out there. The total loss of the entire dune program and revenue funds would amount to $296,599, which would create the loss of 2 additional deputies. We wouldn't have any dune area patrols for emergent call-out, or there would only be emergent call-outs only. Increased overtime from an already strained criminal division overtime budget, as emergency call-outs would be taken out of the criminal division. We wouldn't have holiday patrols on the major holidays, which would jeopardize or could jeopardize the funding coming from Oregon State Parks and the U.S. Forest Service. Lack of patrol on holidays will allow increased improper behavior, such as curfew violations, alcohol ban, resulting in a number of accidents, injuries, and fatalities. Increased improper behavior will also result in groups and families not wanting to recreate in the dunes. This could result in the loss of tourism revenue for the citizens of Coos County, as well as potential loss to the Parks Department. There'll be reduced security at Riley Ranch Campground and County Park. So basically, that reduction is going to do the same thing. It would decimate that program, just like the marine program would have done.
Any questions
No, none.
from John or Neil?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess we're gonna go to animal control, huh?
Yes. All right, animal control, of course, that one's always convoluted to understand.
I get it, I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll explain it.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. All right, under our revenue, we've got a beginning balance of 224. I guess this was for last year. Where do I take this? Just right here. Okay. Beginning balance is 151,185. In that, we've got several funds that roll over every year. Unreserved amount, there's $45,584. In the spay and neuter program, that's $31,464. And the donations Rocha Estate account is $74,137. So that's where we get the total for 151,185. There's also revenues that come in from animal license fees. Like we're proposing at $23,000 this year. Services to county departments at $3,000. Animal control and shelter at $55,000. The spay and neuter program at 19,000. Interest earnings is about 4, and donations, we up that estimate to about $10,000.
Will,
Yes,
can you pause for a minute?
yes.
Is it John or Neil? Can you put your phone on mute, please? You're bleeding in. Much better.
That may have been me, I had another call come in.
Okay, if you could just put it on mute, and then we wouldn't hear all that. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Will.
So total from the general fund this year would be $180,249. So our grand total for the budget for this year is $445,434. On the personnel services for animal control, we've got an increase of about $6,387. And that's basically due to, most of that is all bumping wages. Supplies or the spay and neuter program, just to highlight there, it's down. It was a decrease in that one of $17,854. Our spay and neuter program, I think, is working quite well by making sure that all those animals are spayed and neutered prior to leaving the shelter. Then we're getting less animals that are actually breeding out there. Total budget is actually a reduction this year of $47,222 for the animal control budget. So the total asking for is $445,434.
Okay, questions? Do I have a motion?
Move tentative approval.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
I suppose just mentioning and updates from projects from previous years, they did get the parking lot paved at Animal
Hooray.
Control. And if you haven't been up there yet, it is much nicer, so.
Parking lot pavement, there was a bunch of hazard trees that were removed, and then there was also a new building that was put in. That was actually a donation also, so. a new
By
covered
numbers
area.
of dogs, we are seeing the effects of our long-term plan of the neuter and spay program.
Oh, yeah.
We started including cats some time back,
Yeah,
and I think over the next few years, we're gonna also see the reduction in those unwanted animals that happen to be picked up.
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right. There is an actual minus 10%, right?
There
Okay.
is, yes. A reduction in 10% in the animal control program would equate to $44,543. Of the budget, of the total budget this year, $66,626 is operating contingency, which is a restricted line item designated for major projects. We have none budgeted for the fiscal year 2021. $3,000 is for the clerk license fee line item, which is a pass-through account, and the $48,000 for the spay and neuter program, which is a rolling trust account. The 10% reduction in the animal control would equate to the layoff of one full-time position. The reduction in personnel will result in a reduction of hours the shelter is open to the public, and decrease the hours the animal control officers are available to respond to animal complaint calls, and will drastically increase the cost of extra help and overtime. As I mentioned already, that overtime expense would go up. Currently, we have an extra help or extra expense line item that we haven't had to tap into because of our current staffing level. We've been able to maintain that and not use that money. Reduced inability, our animal control officers stay extremely busy. They're going constantly and sometimes just having a tough time keeping up with the paperwork involved, but reducing that time that they're available to the public will make that a lot worse. Do we want to go through the line items on the 10% cuts?
If I remember right, we only have 2 officers for
We have 2 officers and 1 shelter operator.
Yeah, okay. So, it says here in the second bold paragraph, would it initially equate to a layoff of 1 full-time position, so is that 1 person gone, or is that
That would be
2 half-timers?
be 1 person gone. We don't have any
So you only have
half-timers.
1
We have-
officer left, is that right?
Currently, we have 2 officers and
Yeah.
1 shelter operator, so you would probably be looking at a loss of the shelter operator.
Ah, okay.
So the officers would have to cover the shelter
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that's gonna severely
During the-
reduce them being able to go out in the field.
During the open hours
Correct.
for the shelter.
As well as daily.
And during the closed hours,
Right.
they carry the animals that are there.
There's
Carry the animals.
usually about 4 to 6 hours of shelter work before, daily, before they go out and do anything else. So
Okay.
that doesn't include the open hours, which is Tuesday through Saturday, that it's open for 4 hours a day. And 4 hours a day. So they would have to be, they would be like basically locked down to the shelter that entire day. By the time they get done with cleanup, they wouldn't be able to respond to calls.
Okay.
We don't have a shelter operator.
All right, thank you. All right. Any questions about that? John, Neil?
No.
I guess John's gone for a little bit. Melissa?
He might just be muted too.
John?
No question.
Oh, he had to come off of mute, I guess.
I forgot to
No, sir, I have no questions. Thank you for asking though. I really appreciate your courtesy and your thoughtfulness.
I'll pick my feet up too. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're on to PSAP, dispatch. Unless you want to take a 5-minute break here first. Anybody want a break?
I would love 5 minutes.
Okay, let's do a
Thank
5.
you.
We're in recess for 5. Oop.
I'll call back.